Some parts of the universe are simply not observable. Images of cosmic microwave background, which encompasses the oldest light in the universe, can only be observed until it reaches a barrier. That doesn't prevent studies into what might lie beyond. And that great beyond on the other side of the edge of the universe is really starting to look like a multiverse. In this video, we'll study the reports and review the evidence that mostly indicates the existence of the multiverse. Our understanding of reality is not complete by far. Reality exists independently of us. It sounds eerie. It sounds foreboding. And yet it might actually be true. These were the words of Stanford University physicist Andre E. Lind, one of the architects of cosmic inflationary theory, which justifies the existence of the multiverse. It's understood that if those various parallel universes actually do exist, those universes are separated from ours, unreachable, and so far undetectable by any direct measurement. And that makes some experts question whether the search for a multiverse can ever truly be scientific. But in the science fiction realm, humanity's ideas about alternate realities are ancient and futuristic. In 1848, Edgar Allan Poe composed a poem in which he fancied the existence of a limitless succession of universes. Moviegoers broke the box office with Spider-Man: No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and the indie darling Everything Everywhere All at Once. Aside from the mega movie studios providing excellent CGI to create comic book favorites on the silver screen, our home video game units have also been bombarded with themes revolving around the multiverse. Science fiction stories are full of creative interactions between alternate realities. These days, the DC universe can collide with the Mortal Kombat universe, while the Marvel universe merges with the Capcom universe. It might be our imagination in art, but art is a copy of reality. Depending on which cosmologist you ask, the concept of a multiverse is more than pure fantasy or a handy storytelling device. Fiction aside, the multiverse concept really took off when modern scientific theories attempting to explain the properties of our universe predicted the existence of other universes where events take place outside our reality. Let's now break down the different theories about a possible multiverse, including other universes with their own laws of physics, and determine whether many versions of you could exist out there. First things first, let's be clear on our terminology. What is a multiverse? The multiverse is a term that scientists use to designate the knowledge that beyond the detectable universe, other universes certainly may exist additionally. Multiverses are predicted by several scientific theories that describe different possible scenarios, from regions of space in different dimensions or planes than our universe, to separate bubble universes that are constantly popping into existence. The main point is that all of these theories suggest the space and time we can observe is not the only reality. Humans once thought that Earth was the center of the universe. Now we're just discovering supermassive black holes in the heart of our galaxy. It would be conceited and even foolish to believe that our universe is the only one that exists, given all of the discoveries made about space throughout the eras of time. But don't take it on faith. Science is not faith-based. Science journalist Tom Siegfried, whose book The Number of the Heavens investigates how conceptions of the multiverse have evolved over millennia, explains, "We cannot explain all the features of our universe if there's only one of them. Why are the fundamental constants of nature what they are? Why is there enough time in our universe to make stars and planets? Why do stars shine the way they do, with just the right amount of energy?" All of those things are questions we don't have answers for in our physical theories. So let's get to these super suspenseful popular multiverse theories. Inflationary cosmology is perhaps the most scientifically accepted idea, expounding that in the minuscule moments after the Big Bang, the universe rapidly and exponentially expanded. Cosmic inflation is a faster-than-light expansion of not only our universe, but several others as well. Even more stunning is the fact that the theory predicts that inflation could happen over and over again, perhaps infinitely. This in turn could create a constellation of bubble universes. Not all of those bubbles will have the same properties as our own. They might be spaces where physics behave differently. Some of them might be similar to our universe, but they all exist beyond the realm we can directly observe. Stanford University physicist Andre E. Lind believes that this theory at first looked like a piece of science fiction, although a very imaginative one. But it explained so many interesting features of our world that people started taking it seriously. The next startling type of multiverse is called the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which is the theory that mathematically describes how matter behaves. Proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957, the many worlds interpretation calculates the presence of diverging timelines, or alternate realities, in which our choices play out differently. And of course, one slight change in decision-making can erect wildly different after-effects. Physicist James Kakalios of the University of Minnesota has written about the physics, or not, of superheroes, and he was quoted saying, "Hugh Everett says, look, there's actually an infinite number of parallel Earths. And when you do an experiment and you get the probabilities, basically all that proves is that you live on the Earth, where that was the outcome of that experiment. But on other Earths, there's a different outcome. According to this interpretation, versions of you could be off living the many different possible lives you could have led if you'd made different decisions. However, the only reality that's perceptible to you is the one you inhabit." An action-packed blockbuster was released in 2001 depicting this scenario, with the addition that humans were able to travel to several multiverses. If one would eliminate his multiple selves in the multiverse, their power would be shared among the survivors until becoming the one and only. The One stars legendary martial artist Jet Li and his then pupil Jason Statham. Aside from its intense action and fight choreography, its concept of the multiverse makes it a must-watch sci-fi flick about the multiverse. While watching, remember that it's possibly not all science fiction. So if it's not all superficial fiction, for entertainment, where do all of those other Earths exist? Well, according to theoretical physicists, they're all overlapping in dimensions we can't access. Over at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Max Tegmark refers to this type of multiverse as Level 3 multiverse, where multiple scenarios are playing out in branching realities. Lind put it this way: in the many worlds interpretation, you still have an atomic bomb. You just don't know exactly when it's going to go off. And maybe in some of those realities, it won't. Multiple universes predicted by some theories of cosmic inflation are what Tegmark called a Level 2 multiverse, where fundamental physics can be different across the different universes. In an inflationary multiverse, experts believe that you do not even know if, in some parts of the universe, atomic bombs are even possible in principle. But let's get to the cold, hardcore truth. Is there any direct evidence suggesting multiverses exist? Well, even though certain features of the universe seem to require the existence of a multiverse, nothing has been directly observed that suggests it actually exists. So far, the evidence supporting the idea of a multiverse is purely theoretical, and in some cases, philosophical. It remains one of those mysteries like dark matter and antimatter. Mathematically, it is accurate, yet tangible experiments are impossible to date. While some experts contend that it may be a grand cosmic coincidence that the Big Bang forged a perfectly balanced universe that is just right for our existence, other scientists think it is more probable that any number of physical universes exist, and that we simply inhabit the one that has the right characteristics for our survival. Consider us Earthlings extremely lucky. But it should be reiterated that an inestimable number of alternative little pocket universes, or bubble universes, some of which have different physics or different fundamental constants, is an idea that is so compelling because it helps address certain philosophical issues. But since evidence of an alternate universe can't be tested, so far, scientists argue about whether the multiverse is even an empirically testable theory at all. The definition of a multiverse is independent from our own universe and impossible to access. But hope remains, as scientists have not given up, and many of them figure that perhaps we just haven't come up with the right test. Siegfried believes the universe is not constrained by what some blobs of protoplasm on a tiny little planet can figure out or test. Siegfried was quoted saying, "We can say this is not testable, therefore it can't be real. But that just means we don't know how to test it. And maybe someday we'll figure out how to test it, and maybe we won't. But the universe can do whatever it wants." Are you a believer in the multiverse? What bits of theory do you find more compelling to the existence of the multiverse or the lack of it? Head down to the comments section and add to the discussion. And don't forget to make a detour to smash that like button and ring the notification bell after you've subscribed to Space Infinity.